Welcome to Porchville. How you doing out there, Porchvillians? I'm Nick, and this is episode 21. PorchvillePod.com, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Find us on all those spots. Get over wherever you download your podcasts. Find us and subscribe to us, because we need the love, man. So, I'm here with the First Lady of Porchville.
What up?
Porch Mama.
Porch Mama.
Katie. The lovely Katie. How you doing?
I'm doing all right.
Looking good over there.
It's cold.
It is cold. That's why I put that big-ass heater right there blowing fire.
I feel it on the left side of my face.
Well, I'm sorry.
Florida is bipolar.
Yeah. It was 800 degrees 2 hours ago, and now it's like... This is the pitfalls of doing a podcast on a porch, is that when it's cold, man, it's cold.
Of course, we're sitting here saying that it's cold, and there's probably people listening elsewhere that's like...
I don't care about them people.
Yes, you do.
Suck it up. We're talking about Florida people. We're talking about Florida.
We don't do cold.
No. Cold is not our thing, so... Big day. Very excited. Mr. Michael Tomaino. I said it right. Tomaino, right?
You got it.
I got it.
You hit it. You hit it well.
You looked at me. I was like, shit.
I'm impressed.
Shoot. All right. So I asked you to be on the show. We were talking on Facebook, and I saw your book, How to Be a Superhero. How about that? Like, tell me a little bit about it. How to be a superhero? What's the origin behind it?
So the main thing I wanted to do was I've been a teacher for I worked with kids in general for about 10 plus years.
Yeah.
And
here in Gainesville, or just
so I'm originally from upstate New York.
Upstate New York.
So I worked with kids up there too, like through like the YMCA, through teaching.
We got some listeners in upstate New York. Shout out to them.
Awesome. Yeah, Schenectady, Albany,
There you go.
Scotia,
Yeah.
all that area. Capital Region.
Love it.
Representing the Capital Region down here, I guess. And so I really wanted to take what worked for me teaching and put it into a book form so that potentially everyone in the world could hopefully benefit from it.
Yeah.
And one of my big goals...
Go ahead and bring that microphone right over. Just you can move it around. Feel free to move it around. Just you want to stick that thing right in front of your face.
One of my big goals...
Perfect.
There we go.
Look at that.
There we go.
You hear that difference? Now I got to turn you down a little bit. Shit. All right.
A little bit of a difference.
Beautiful.
So one thing that I've really wanted to... one place I really wanted to reach for a really long time is actually children's hospitals.
Yeah.
So because I've done a lot of software that's kid-related. I've done a lot of kid-related work.
You also did some video game design.
I did some video game design, yep.
Yeah. My son wants to talk to you then, I'm telling you. I keep telling him, like...
Let's do it.
Hey, video game design, you got to get a plan, kid. And he looks at me with that blank stare that 14-year-olds have perpetually. And, but yeah, so I'm going to send him your way, man.
Absolutely. Let's
Tell
get
him
him...
what the hell he needs to do.
He can make a game design document. We can get him started.
Yeah?
Absolutely.
Today? Can we do it?
We can do it today.
Will it start earning an income?
The thing about making video games is you don't go into it to make a lot of money, generally. No. It's not usually a big cash cow, but I am excited to say...
That's it. He's going to be a dentist.
There are ways if you position things intelligently.
Yeah.
So my first... game that was for kids was called Platinum Art Sandbox, and I really wanted to keep it free, so that every kid in the world could access it. Because I originally started it, I was working for the YMCA, and as a before and after school program director, and the YMCA was throwing away computers, and so I was like, I'll take them, and the only thing that they had access to was like Windows Paint. I was like, well, I've designed games. Like, I'm going to make something for them so they can tell stories in 3D. And so I started working on the software for the kids, and I decided to put it online and found that it was really taking off. Yeah. And so the main power of the software is that you can create 3D. You can create like 3D environments in like minutes.
Right.
So you basically start on like a flat 3D plane and just like a flat world. And if you like click and drag on an area and like push the mouse wheel down, like the ground goes down. Like you pull it up, it goes up, and you can like push and pull on it, just like molding like clay.
Yeah.
And if you want to like put in like animals or trees, you just go in the menu and just plop it right down.
Huh. I think you're getting away from that microphone just a little bit.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I got to work on that.
That's all right. Well, so how did you get from? And I gotta tell you, I actually picked up a computer that somebody threw away one time. I'll tell you how that played out later. It was not great. It's not fantastic what I found on that computer. But
what you found out of it.
what I found on that computer, it was terrible. I learned don't ever grab a computer that somebody's getting rid of. Somebody's just throwing away. Like, just leave it alone.
I'm sure you can find some very interesting things on a computer that's been thrown away.
There was nothing interesting about what I saw. It was terrible. It was bad. It was bad. Dude really needed to shave. I'm just saying. But anyway, so how did you get from doing that to getting into writing a book?
So in Gainesville, I was teaching for a while.
Yeah.
And one thing that's always kind of bothered me is I really like working with kids. I think it's fantastic. But I've felt like if I'm working, at one school with a group of kids, what about, the kids at the school like down the street, or, like even like the other schools in Gainesville or in Florida.
Yeah.
Like I really want to hopefully have like a positive impact on all of them, not just the ones that I'm working with. So that's why I was really excited to take what worked for me and try to put it in book form so I could hopefully reach everybody. Right. Because books are just like one of the most, accessible mediums like possible, like not like,
and it's never going to go away.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, like I know that, there's ebooks and stuff like that.
Right.
But man, if everything just came undone tomorrow, what are people going to do? They're going to go right back to their books,
Absolutely.
So, I mean, they're always going to be there.
Yeah, because not everyone has access to a computer to like play like a game or whatever, but like pretty much everyone has access to either a phone or, a library,
right? Or
Amazon to order a book.
Yeah, which you can order this book for $7.99 on Amazon right now. I learned that today.
That is correct.
Yeah, mine's on the way.
Oh, really? Awesome.
It's
Thank
on
you so
the
much.
way, man. So
thank you so much.
Yeah,
I appreciate that.
I wish if I would have been thinking, I would have ordered it before. I'd have had you, sign it for me or something like that.
I will absolutely come back and sign it for you.
I love it. Beautiful.
Not a problem.
Because anybody who's been on the porch, they're always welcome back.
I'll be on the porch again.
So, you have to come back and do it.
I will revisit the porch.
So what am I looking at here? I got this book here. It says How to Be a Superhero. If I open this book up, what am I going to learn?
So one important thing about the book is that it's actually meant to be a nonfiction book, not a fiction book.
Right.
Because a lot of the books that I've seen on Amazon that are about, how to be a superhero are, like talking about like, shooting lasers out of your eyes and stuff that's unrealistic.
Yeah.
But to me, a superhero is like the definition of a superhero is that a hero is someone who helps people and a superhero is someone who helps a lot of people. And I was thinking about it and, applying that to like every superhero, and it actually works because a lot of superheroes don't actually have, fantastical powers, like Batman.
Yeah.
And, like Iron Man, like they worked hard. Like they knew what they wanted to do and they did what they had to do to reach their goal.
And they were blessed with extremely large bank accounts.
They were.
I mean, I feel like if I had like billions of dollars, I'd probably be like Batman.
Well, that did help.
Why are you laughing? What's funny about that? Because you'd be over there going, "No, you're not spending your money on that."
A little bit of that, but no, I was laughing because of the way you said Batman.
It'd probably be Batman.
There's a little bit more to than the financial aspect of it.
Yeah. Yeah. Somebody's got to have the know-how.
Yeah. So like you might have like like the awesome suit, but then there's, you know, you got to be able to like jump from building to building and you like move in the suit, you know, and like be able to I know for me, if I was to wear it, like I keep like in decent well shape, but I'm pretty sure I'd be tired, you know.
I
within,
wouldn't.
like,
I
15
wouldn't be
minutes.
able to make it half a block. I swear to God. Be like, run down that street and save that. No, sorry, 20 feet. If you're doing crime within 20 feet of me,
Yeah, there you go.
I got your back. If you're further away than that, though,
You can ask them to please try to keep it within 20 feet.
Yeah.
Like, no, like you're going out of my range. Like, please.
otherwise
please
I gotta
range.
call
Yeah.
Uber.
Yeah.
And, there's a whole process.
Don't make me call the police. Like, I really want to handle this myself.
So where did this start then? What was the inception for it? Where did you decide, like, I'm going to put this down on paper and get this out to as many people as possible? So
it basically started out my last stint as a teacher. I was teaching media, and I noticed that the kids weren't when I came into the job, they weren't super excited about being there at first, and so I really wanted to get them excited and motivated. And so one of the first things that I did was I went around and I asked each kid what their superpower was. Like, first I said like what mine were. Like, I set the example of like, what I thought my superpowers were. And then I went around to each kid, and the light bulbs that went on in their heads was just absolutely insane. Like, it was like kids that started off completely standoffish, didn't want anything to do with me, that just were completely engaged. And so
once they had to tell you what their superpower was.
Yeah, because I think that a lot of them had never really thought about like what was special about themselves, because we all have real life superpowers, and we all have all real life weaknesses. Like Superman like has his kryptonite. Like, we all have our kryptonites. Like for me, mine was high school science.
Yeah.
It didn't work out so well for me.
Mine was high school. Period. That was pretty much that. That was my that was my kryptonite. I'm sorry, said that backwards.
Well, you made it through it, so hopefully you'll never have to experience that kryptonite again.
I left it, but I did get out of it. So, but so what kind of, when you would tell these kids like, hey, what's your superpower? What sort of things would you get back? Clearly, I mean, they're not leaping tall buildings in a single bound. So I'm curious where their imaginations went to.
So where I started off with me was that I can run fast. I can eat a lot of food, which they thought was like really entertaining. And I can eat faster than pretty much anyone that I've ever met. So they all thought that was funny. And so a lot of them like would talk about how they were good at like athletics, or that they thought that they were like particularly smart or like good at like certain areas like art. And it was like, it's really interesting like getting them to like think about like what areas like maybe they're a little bit better at. Like, it really like got them like soul searching a bit, and kind of like really seeing like what qualities of them like made them stand out, which was great. Because especially with like a lot of kids these days, like I'm not sure a lot of them like exactly like feel that they have like a whole lot going for them sometimes, like because there's a lot of kids like that are like in really rough situations.
Sure.
And like when you can show them like you really do actually have something that you can contribute, like something that really is like special about you, like some way that you are able to be a superhero, it totally changes their mindset.
Yeah.
I
would imagine
it goes from like a can't to a can. And so after I had them identifying their superpowers, they were actually writing superhero stories about themselves.
Yeah.
So where they would actually flesh out their characters, and I let them create whatever characters they want. But it was interesting to me because the main point of it was to help them see what their ideal selves would be.
Yeah. Like,
it gave them like a chance to actually flesh out their ideal selves and a vision like of like maybe what they'd want to be as like in the future, or potentially be. So it was super interesting what they came up with.
What sort of things? Any specifics jump out at you?
My absolute favorite was this is obviously not realistic, but the girl's superpower was that she could live in a wall.
Live in a wall?
Yeah.
That's
And so she could.
There's a few walls that I wouldn't mind living in. I can see that. See that. That's really interesting.
So she would actually like pop out of walls to like stop like robberies and stuff, and so she could like retreat like into the wall like whenever she wanted.
Oh wow.
That's pretty deep.
I thought that was like so
like
creative.
if you think about it, like I wonder, just
Crime fighting and
like just
superpower
stealthy,
running into the wall.
like,
That's wild.
in and out. Yeah, that's
And this is like a little third grader too, and she was so like anytime like she wrote like an additional sentence in the story, she would like call me over to show me, and she was like the most excited like person in the world. So like she was just like beside herself. She's like, Mr. T, like come over, like I gotta show you this. It was the best.
Is that do they call you Mr. T?
Mr. T.
Because if I was going to be a teacher, I'd change my name to something that starts with a T. Just so they call me Mr. T.
It was definitely because I have the T factor going, the Mr. T factor. You got to play that card. But also with my last name, I really didn't want to like correct like every kindergartner,
right?
Because it was 500 students, so I figured just go the easy route.
So what am I looking at here as I open up this book here? I mean, this is designed to help the kids come up with their superhero or their superpower, right?
So the book is divided into 3 key sections.
Yeah.
So the first one is identifying your superhero persona. What are your real life superpowers? What would your character be named if you wanted to create a costume, etc. And the second part is training to be a superhero.
Yeah.
So it's training your body and your mind.
So they actually like draw a picture of themselves as the superhero and stuff like that.
So in the book I actually do have activities and I have challenges that the kids can do.
Yeah.
And if the kids complete all the activities and have their parents send in the completed activities, I'll send them a code.
Yeah.
It'll actually unlock a certain part of the website.
Oh wow.
And they'll get like a superhero certificate and like a bunch of other cool stuff.
That's awesome.
neat.
Yeah. So it's hopefully like a little bit of incentive. And so the challenges in there are like things that they can do on like a daily basis. Like one of them is like, pick up like 5 pieces of trash. But
Heck
so,
yeah. I like that already.
Well, because like being a superhero, as I mentioned before, is helping.
Yeah.
And so the training too, the main part of it is to help yourself first, because you need to be able to help yourself first.
Right.
And so it also talks about like dealing with negative emotions as well.
Yeah.
Because that's definitely a part of, all of us and being a superhero. Like every superhero has a bad day.
Uh-huh.
Oops.
You want to look at it?
I did.
Oh, you did. Oh, I see. All right.
Mm-hmm. Sorry. So every superhero has a bad day.
Absolutely.
Well, so what are they supposed to do when they do? Because, I mean, you don't want to just, like, get mad, go, like, Hulk smash and, tear down a building.
Exactly. So I have a bunch of stress management ideas.
Oh, I could use that.
And, yeah, absolutely. I have a few different scenarios in there, too, like a few different things. But for me, that I mentioned this many times in the book because I think it's, like, the easiest and most important thing that you could do. And that is just to go out and say hi to as many people as you can.
Oh, wow. I like that.
That's neat.
Because, like, it might sound simple, but just saying hi to somebody, it's doing so much. And especially going out, like, you're getting, like, vitamin D, you're getting the serotonin flowing. And when you say hi to somebody, you're showing them acceptance, you're showing them acknowledgement. And, oftentimes it can lead to, more conversation.
Yeah.
And for me personally, because I live right by One Love, so I go walking out there, and there's the kids rehab center and there's the adult rehab center, and so I've seen a lot of people that are wheelchairs, like really really like rough situations, and that are like really down in the dumps, and I'll just walk by and say hi to them, give them a little wave, and I'll see them go from like their head hanging, almost to their feet to just like perking up and like coming alive.
Well, you're acknowledging them as people. A lot of people in those bad situations, they they probably have 10, 20, 30 people just walk by them without a thought, without a care, and just keep on strolling. So for somebody to take the time out of their day and, hey, hi, how are you doing? That probably means the world to a lot of those people. I mean, it very well could be the only interaction they're getting for weeks. Who knows?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's why I think it's like one of the easiest, but one of the biggest things that you can possibly do.
Yeah.
Because it can just make such a big difference in someone's day.
I like that. I really do. I like that a lot. I'm a fan.
So,
Just getting out there and saying hello.
Well, it's got to be internally good for them, too, because you have to have confidence to be able to say hi to someone.
Yeah.
I mean, it's easy to give a wave or a smile or, like, that's projecting goodness, but even inside, having the confidence to say hi.
Yeah.
Some don't have that. So that's got to be, that's
You know,
like
a
a challenge
lot
for them.
of
to be
people I
able
could
to
see
say hi.
being too timid, and so that would definitely help them get out there and just branch out, Yeah, for me that'd be
Absolutely.
pretty easy. I'd ace that one all day long, just walk around saying hi to people. I can do that. But not everybody could.
Yeah.
So,
well, yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about, and I think that's one reason why I like it too, because a lot of people think I'm extroverted, but I definitely think that I'm more introverted, and like sometimes like I have to like kind of like push a little bit to say hi, but luckily it's just hi,
Yeah.
like I just focus like it's just like one word, like I try to do it, and it's so amazing. Like once you say hi to just one person and you see them light up, then it makes you light up.
Yeah.
And then like everything just starts. Then everything just like flows.
then it's infectious.
Becomes easy.
It's
Exactly.
contagious,
Yeah, it's like the butterfly effect.
Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot.
And so, actually, I would love to share a story if you don't mind.
Please do.
About like
That's what we're here for, man. Share away.
Where I really learned the power of that. Back in New York, I used to babysit for a family. I think I know I'm a guy, but I think babysitting is actually like one of the best jobs I've ever had.
I babysat for several years when I was one of the older kids in the neighborhood growing up. 12, 13, 14 years old, and I'd have parents come ask me all the time, like, "Hey, would you mind coming and sitting with my kids for a few hours a night?" And, hell yeah, you want to pay me? Sure,
I loved it. Yeah,
I'll come and hang out on your couch.
Yeah, my first gig was in the Village of Scotia in New York, and it was right by my favorite park, which is Collins Park. So I would just take the kids down to the park like every day, go swimming, like play on the beach, and like get paid for it. It's like
You can't beat that.
This is the best thing ever. But so I was babysitting a 4-year-old, and I was picking her up. I would pick her up from preschool a lot, and I noticed like her mom wasn't like super like outgoing, not super friendly. So the little girl kind of like picked up on those traits. So she wouldn't really like say hi to anybody. And I said to her one day, I was like, like if you just like even just like wave to people, like you can make so many people happy. And so she started like saying hi to people, like interacting with them, and we would drive by, like going back to her house, we would drive by like this big field. And so after like I talked to her about it, I saw her like little hand like waving out the back window, like from her little car seat.
That's cute.
And I swear, like every person that like probably wasn't exactly every person, but just about every person that was like playing softball, like doing like anything at this park, like turned to wave to this like little 4-year-old. And I was like, see what you did? Like you made that happen. Like, because you decided to wave. And I mean, she was just like the most jolly, like little creature in the car. Like she felt like she was like mayor of the town. That's great.
My daughter, for a long time, she's 9 now. Is she 10? No, she's 10 this year. I don't know why I always do that. Yeah, she's gonna be 10 here soon. But when she was probably 4 or 5, she was a hugger. We walked into a furniture store one day, and she, lady came over and said, "Hey, can I help you find anything?" And my daughter ran over and hugged her, and I'm like, okay. Don't hug everybody. You know, I'm thinking, and I actually had a conversation with Katie about it. And, you know, I said maybe we should not let her just run up to random strangers and hug them, because she would just, everywhere you'd go, she was running up and hugging somebody. And then one day we had some guys that came to the house and they were working on our windows, replacing all the windows in the house. She ran up and gave the guy a hug, and you know, he hugged her or whatever. And the next day when he came back, he told Katie, he said, you know, I know you don't know any of this or anything. He said, but I just lost my mom. He had just lost his mother just a couple days prior. Was having a really rough go. And he said, you know, that little girl ran up and hugged me, and it just meant the world to me, you know? And it was like, well,
So-
how do we tell her not to hug people now?
Right. So we didn't. We decided not to
Yeah.
hinder her from doing that.
Yep.
Of course, we taught her stranger danger and
Yeah.
stuff like that.
we would monitor it, but, you
Right.
know, I mean,
yeah.
so yeah, you know, we found that it just made people happy, you know, that this little kid was just running up and giving him a hug. And you just never know. Sometimes you just connect with that one person who's just having the worst day of their life, and that one little gesture can turn all that around. And that's amazing to me. So,
Absolutely, and that's
and
what
given the fact that that's the point of this
Exactly.
of this
I
book,
was just gonna say that. Yeah.
that's amazing to me, you know.
Yeah. So after training your body and mind, when you're going out to be a superhero, that's one of the main ways to be a superhero is to go around and say hi to people. But
Yeah.
it's, you know, like helping people, helping the environment. You know, for all the parents, there's a part about the importance of cleaning your room, and
Love
helping to
that.
like clean the house, because
You
actually
are a gentleman and a scholar, sir.
because a clean room is, you know, a clean mind. You know,
Yeah.
it's all organization. It's actually psychological, and so like a lot of this book. Oh, sorry, just hit the mic.
You're all right.
A lot of this book is actually adult psychology that I've distilled down to like 3 to 5 sentences. So it's not like just like out of nowhere, because my BA in college is psychology, and I've like always been super interested in psychology, and I've the actual like hidden goal behind this book, and the main reason why I wrote it is actually to I'm really concerned about curbing depression,
Yeah.
about curbing suicide, and suicide especially, and
Yeah.
you know, suicide of young people, and all the people that we've had commit suicide that, like, you know, I would never have imagined, like Chris Cornell, the lead singer of Linkin Park.
Chester Bennington. Yeah, we've talked about Cornell on this show quite a few times. I'm a big fan. Big fan. I actually was fortunate enough to see him just a couple weeks before he passed away.
Oh my goodness.
At Welcome to Rockville in Jacksonville. Stunning performance, and we were all just our faces were significantly melted off after that show. It was just amazing, and to hear he died just a couple weeks later, it was such a gut punch, man. It was crazy. And my band at the time, we went and did a tribute show here in town, and had a great, you know, crowd out there. But it was, remember just how bummed it was, you know, how bummed I was, because it was such a great night and great show. There were so many people. We all came together, and it was just the cause. Man, it sucked. It was like, we're all here because one of the greatest singers of all time, you know, killed himself. It sucks, but it's a harsh reality, you know. And so I'm on board with anything that can combat depression and, you know, suicide and all that stuff. Anybody who's doing stuff like that, you're okay in my book for sure. Because I think we need a hell of a lot more of it. I don't think we do near enough for mental health in general at all.
Absolutely. And like, really the shocker for me was there was actually somebody in my personal life
Yeah.
that it was someone who, you know, was like super fit, super strong, like super alpha. Someone that I never would have thought would, ever have, like it wouldn't even be like in the realm of thought. And it just like it really like hit home. And so I think it might have even been a year before I wrote this book where I was like really trying to figure out a way to address that and to help curb that, because it really was a big deal.
Yeah, mess you up a little bit,
Yeah, it was like such a shocker. And so I've done a lot of research on suicide, and there was one article that like really hit home to me, and it was where they were comparing suicide letters, and there was tons of letters, and they had no correlation except for two things. And one was that all of them felt like they were a burden on others,
yeah,
and that they had no chance of any kind of positive future.
Yeah.
And so the whole superhero aspect is actually like incredibly intentional.
Yeah.
And so one of the things that I realized with it is that if you're helping people, that's the complete opposite of being a burden.
Right.
And like once you see that you're helping people, it like totally opens the door of like, wow, like I have quite
possibilities.
I have quite an obvious chance of a positive future, even if it is as simple as just walking around and saying hi to people.
Yeah.
Like even if that's it, like, or if it doesn't really take much. It's just like showing care, like period. And that's actually one thing that I learned teaching too, with especially kids that were in like rougher situations, that like just showing them that I was in their corner, it completely changed them. Like I saw like massive changes. Yeah. Like kids that were like getting in fights all the time, getting in trouble all the time, to like excelling, like creating, writing stories, and like bettering themselves, like learning chess. One of the schools that I taught at, so the other school that I taught at since I've been in Gainesville was at One Room. And so I was there for, I think, like 4 or 5 years. And so I did after school too. And I taught the kids chess. So like when kids were done with their homework and the other ones were working on their homework, I'd have them do chess. And they'd also write stories themselves as superheroes.
I think it's fantastic for kids to learn chess. My son, my son's pretty good at it. He learned, like 4th grade or something like that. There was a chess club at the school, and it was excellent. I mean, him and his buddy would get together. They lived right down the street from each other, and they would play chess. They wouldn't get together and play video games, or they would get together and play chess at like 10 years old. I was shocked.
It's huge.
I was shocked.
So one of my favorite things ever, hopefully this is interesting to everybody, but so I mostly had 2nd and 3rd graders.
Yeah.
But I had one 1st grader, and he was basically sent to me because he was having trouble with discipline and like, acting out, and lots of behavioral problems. And so I taught him chess, and he actually ended up being like basically the referee for the older kids.
Oh, wow.
So like when the older kids were like doing something in chess that they weren't supposed to do, he'd be like, no, you can't do that. Like, gotta like do this. Like, or you can only. So it was like really cool to like see him.
He was the authority. He was the local authority. That's awesome.
Yeah, and like he was so excited to like try to get his parents to like get him like a chessboard and like play with them.
Yeah.
At home, and like he like really took to it, and his behavior was like completely flipped.
That's great.
It was fantastic.
That's awesome.
And so my deal that I made with the kids in after school, and some of the kids during school, like I'd go into their lunches, was that if they wrote stories, that I would include them in my superhero stories, because I was writing superhero stories like in the school too. Mm-hmm. And the kids actually ended up writing so many stories that I couldn't keep up. So yeah,
wow.
it was insane. Like I couldn't even come close to keeping up. Like
wow.
Like it was like every day. It was So at that school, I was Mr. Mike. Was like, Mr. Mike, like, can you come into our lunch? Like, I got a story to read. And so they would get up in front of the class and read the stories like to the entire class.
That's awesome.
Which, I mean, how many skills are they learning?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like overwhelming. Like, it was crazy how well that worked.
God,
yeah.
I remember trying to get up and speak in front of people for the first time. 3rd grade, Miss Lyons class. I'm not going to say what I want to say about Miss Lyons. I'll leave that for another podcast. But
Let me take a guess. She wasn't your favorite teacher.
Whew. Still to this day is not. But I having to get up and speak in front of that class. I remember my knees literally knocking together. I was so terrified, and so it's always been kind of funny to me that I have done what I've done over the years, where I've spent a lot of time standing up speaking in front of people. So, well, usually screaming and yelling and singing at them, but hey, whatever, same thing.
You don't like her, but maybe she did you a service there. Maybe right there you opened the door of having a little bit more confidence.
No, it took a few years.
You could have given
It took a few years. No, she was a pretty bad person. Ultimately, so
Okay.
they had actually been trying to get her out of the school system. We learned for 14, 15 years or something. Just not a great teacher. She'd had a few complaints. So whatever, different story for a different day.
For the record, though, you are a fantastic speaker.
Well, like I said, I spend a lot of time talking in front of a microphone, and I'm just making it up as I go, man. I'll tell you that.
Well, that's what it's all about, too.
Throw a little whiskey on the fire, and away we go. Buckle up.
Putting in the reps, and that's exactly.
How you doing on that whiskey? You need another flavor over there?
I might refill at some point.
Yeah, we've been partaking here on the old Screwball peanut butter whiskey. Whiskey challenge #1 winner. I think we're actually going to do another whiskey challenge here in the future, where we line up a bunch of them and give them a whirl. And I'm thinking that we may need to put all the new whiskeys against the peanut butter whiskey too. I'm not sure.
I'm definitely a willing participant to provide feedback.
Beautiful. We'll bring you in.
That is one survey I would be excited to take.
So what is there like age limits on this sort of stuff, or is this, can kids of all ages pick this up and follow your ideas here?
So the main age group that I was trying to hit, because like book publishers, they have like different age ranges that they like basically categorize.
Yeah.
And so the main age range that I was trying to hit was 8 to 12. And I'm not sure I quite hit that. It might be like slightly younger.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty excited with how it turned out and how I hit it. But I believe that it's also like for the parents too. Like I intended it for the parents.
Yeah, see, I mean, looking at it, man, and hearing what you're talking about, I could see everybody having a good time doing this. I mean,
Absolutely.
High school, middle school, all of them. I could see it, just totally across. I can see me having fun with this. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, let me sit down and write some stories. It's kind of crazy. I think it's all ages, man.
Yeah. So my big test for this book was that if I was going through something and I could not find something in the book to help me through that,
Yeah.
then I was missing a page, and that page needed to get researched and written.
Have you come across an instance like that where you've been like, oh, you know
many
what?
Times.
Need time for a new page.
Many times.
Yeah.
And even one of the last things that I put in was breathing, like the importance of if you're angry and upset, like how to deal with that.
And now you're talking my language.
Yeah. So what? And I was like, you know what? Like, I don't think I put in there like the importance of like when you're having like a rough day or like a rough like dealing with like a rough situation, like breathing in through your nose and breathing out your mouth.
Yeah.
And I also like one of the things that I think is the most funny is singing. I think like singing, like just like singing about like whatever you're upset about.
Yeah.
Like it really helps.
You'd be amazed.
It doesn't have to be like good singing because my singing is
does
definitely
not
not good. But it takes you out of your head and like brings you to the present, and it makes like whatever you're upset about ridiculous because you're just like singing like a ridiculous song about like whatever you're upset about.
Yeah.
So it makes it like silly. Because like a lot of the stuff that like we get upset about, like in the grand scheme of things, like generally like isn't like that important. It's more of like an in the moment thing.
Yeah.
And so kind of like I don't know. At least for me, like it helps bring me back like down to reality and like what is like really
I
important.
feel like he's talking directly to me. I feel like he's just reaching right into my soul and telling me all these things
So
that my wife has been telling me. Is this a setup? Is that what this is?
it's an intervention. Sorry to tell you. That's the whole thing was mastermind.
I believe it.
Yeah.
I believe it.
But really, I mean, even after I had this book published and sitting at my desk, like there's times where, you know, like I had like a rough day or like I had like a rough patch, and I opened the book and referred back to it and found like some kind of help.
How cool is that?
Which is like the whole point of it.
How cool is that? Like the first when you get your book printed, and you get to buy your book. How cool is that? You know.
It was the coolest thing ever. Like when I opened the package and actually like held in my hand like what had like come out of my brain, like my brain baby.
It makes you a little giddy, doesn't it?
Yeah, when I held my brain baby for the first time, it was quite exciting because I had the ebook out, but like seeing it on the computer versus seeing it live and
being able to actually hold it. I mean, it's tangible. It's in your hand. I mean, that's a different feeling altogether. I mean, I've recorded CDs in my life, and you go in and you record them in the studio, and it sounds so good, but it doesn't sound near as good on those $1,000 speakers as it does on those crappy speakers in your bedroom. You know, when you put that thing in your CD player for the first time, sounds the best. Then it's like, I that's it right there. So. Getting it in your hands, actually being able to hold it, that's the payoff, you know?
It makes it real.
Yeah. That's what you worked for.
So when I first got it too, of course I took it everywhere I went.
Yeah.
Like that specific copy actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's that copy has seen some Publix visits. For sure.
So now, how to be a superhero here? What's next? Is there a sequel in the works, or there a how to be something else, or you know what's is this just the beginning, or what are we looking at here?
So this is definitely just the beginning.
Yeah.
The whole superhero concept is really important to me in many ways. I think it's like really key in a lot of areas. There's a Plato quote about how like the quote ideal citizen is the combination of an athlete and a scholar,
right? Because
like one or the other is too imbalanced, and so that's what I think a superhero is too. Like it's a combination of like being an athlete, like you know, like being in shape, like being able to like physically, you know, meet the requirements, you know, be able to fight crime,
right?
You know, be able to help people, and also like every superhero like needs to be intelligent. Like if you like go to like save people, but like you know you're not thinking properly, like it's not gonna work out for you. Like
I'm just gonna set you down right here in the middle of this ocean.
Yeah.
That's probably a bad idea because you're in a Volvo or something. You know,
exactly. And I think actually the idea of like creating is important too. And this is still like a concept that I've been playing with, but I think like each like superhero is kind of like almost like a wizard or like a mage or like someone that's like creating something, because like every superhero is like really like creating something. Like even like the Hulk, even though like his strength, you know, like his superpower is like super strength, like he's like creating situations where he can like lift a car, or you know someone's like shooting like lasers out of their eyes, or Batman's like creating his suits. Like so some things are unrealistic and some things aren't, but
we have a rogue child. That's what I'm talking about. We just throw it out there, you know. Yeah.
I think she wants in on the podcast.
Probably,
I think that's what it is.
Probably. She takes after me a lot, so
that's awesome.
Give her a microphone, she's gonna run with it. You know.
That's awesome.
Terrifies me.
I think that's fantastic though.
Oh yeah. It's a trip. But yeah, you know, I could see a lot coming from this. You know, I could see a lot of like involvement, like you were talking about. You know, the website and stuff like that. I mean, really taking it to a level, where kids can really see their work, their drawings, their stories, come to life in front of them. That's amazing. It really is.
I realized too that I didn't quite answer your question too about what's next.
Yeah.
So I definitely want to continue on the superhero idea because I think it's like really good. And so what I want to do next is do stories that are based on the values that are in this book.
Yeah.
And so each character will basically be faced with like a different trial.
Yeah.
That so the first character, his struggle is with math, and so
Mine too.
The second character, for me it was science. So that's where I'm pulling like a lot of like the story stuff, and because I can never get. I think very rarely did I ever get higher than a C in science in high school. Like as hard as I tried.
I don't know that I got higher than a C, but I know I got higher than I did in math. Whatever the grade was, I know it was higher than the one I got in math. So there was no saving me in math.
Yes,
my kid's in algebra right now, and he comes to me looking like, Dad, can you help? I can't. I don't know why you're even asking me. Go ask your mother. That's the best I got for him.
I actually had the same problem, but like in the reverse.
Yeah.
Where my dad is actually an electrical engineer. So every time I try to ask my dad a math question, it would be like, just like the simplest like algebra question. And it would be he would give me like 3 pages of like how to do it.
Hand me that notebook over here, son. Let's talk about it.
I'm like, Dad, this does not help me at all. Like I think I asked him one time, learned my lesson, and like that was it. I was like.
Your parents? Are they in New York or?
Yes.
Yeah. It's gonna be so cold up there right now. We were bitching that it was cold here, but my God.
Yeah. Anytime I feel bad about how cold it is here, I just think about how cold it is. I actually have Niskayuna's like weather on my phone, so if I'm ever feeling bad about like the weather here, I can just look at what it is in Niskayuna.
Right.
And it's always like 4 degrees colder. So.
Do you get up there often?
No.
No, just stick to sunny Florida.
I like the warm. And
I know you when we were talking earlier because, I had to warn you because I tell everybody, hey, we are named Porchville because we actually do record this on a porch, and I mean it's like 30 something degrees right now, and so I had to give you the old warning, like, hey man, it's gonna be chilly and You told me, you're like, oh boy, I don't do well with the cold, but all right, so
yeah, everyone thinks that since I'm from New York that I must be used to the cold. Right? Like, that's why I moved. Like I paid my dues. Like I never want to be cold again.
Yeah.
But I'm wearing 2 jackets. I got a coat, or I got gloves on. I got a hat on. So
yeah, I'm originally from Michigan, so I know about that northern cold.
And that whiskey and the coffee is really helping out too.
Yeah,
much appreciated.
No whiskey will always help.
Yeah.
I need some more of this stuff. What do we got here? We got
some rum.
You know what? I'm gonna try this Crown Apple. I've heard it's very good, so I don't want to put that on your book.
So Riley, I just had to some back.
I wouldn't mind a little.
Yeah.
Tell you what. That little screen time thing,
yeah,
greatest thing. That's what it was all about. That's why she came out.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Why?
What time is it?
It shouldn't shut off today.
Yeah, well, you have it. Yeah, it shut off. It locked her out.
What day is it? Oh, it's Friday.
It's Friday.
Oops.
I already went in.
You already opened it all up?
I already opened it up and opened her up and everything.
So we just recently did this screen time app for our kids. So my son's 14, my daughter's 9. They've never had major limitations other than, we say, put down the phone,
And they listen.
And we trust that they do. I don't think my son does very well, but we trust for the most part that they do. Well, we've recently put this app on there that limits their screen time.
You can set how much time they have. You can set it to shut down. You can, I mean, you can see what apps they're using
Yeah.
and how long they're on them. Like, it's like, oh, it's eye-opening.
Yeah. And they're not in love with it either.
They're not.
They are not loving it.
I think I need to do that for myself, like especially
Yeah.
especially for Facebook.
Oh,
Mm.
which
Like-
I'm thinking about it now. What I did was I actually I set it the scheduling for Monday through Friday,
Right.
and I should have set it for Sunday through Thursday because I messed that up. So, well,
I love that whiskey, by the way.
the Crown is
Yeah.
that good?
It is applicious.
It is caramel apple, right? Is that what it is?
Oh my, that's the green apple Crown.
Mm.
I wish you would actually like try some whiskey
I'm happy with my
instead of
water
over there
beer.
drinking your beer water.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't hate on my beer.
I mean, it's no Coors Light. 'Cause we all know Coors Light is the greatest beer of all time. Shout out to Coors.
Endorsement, please.
I do love. That's my beer. Coors Light. What can I say?
I really do appreciate how you have the whiskey plus one rum item buffet
Oh
over
yeah.
there.
Well, we got the monkey rum. Actually,
Yeah.
Darren Lane brought that to me a couple episodes ago. He was on, and he brought us the monkey rum. But monkey rum was heavily featured on some of our first episodes. Actually, the first episode that we recorded, I think it was episode 4, was the first one that we did while we were not drinking monkey rum, and it was there was a whole production about like, oh my God, what are we gonna do without the monkey? So
It was a different show.
yes, yeah. There were some of the earlier shows. You know, you look back and you're like, okay, let's not do that again. But
Well, and that's what it's all about too, and that's exactly what I would tell your son with the game design
Yeah.
and with pretty much everything and with the book. The biggest piece of advice that I've ever learned with like doing all my games, and doing anything is you just start small and build up.
Yeah.
You know, you put in the reps,
yeah,
and you know the most important thing is just do something, and you can find out like what works and what doesn't, and
Right.
as long as you have like a foundation, you can build up.
yeah, that makes sense. I mean, just keep on plugging at it. You know, I mean, every day, do something. You know, towards your goal. I think is something important to do.
Absolutely. And one thing that I've really come to realize again recently, I was talking to one of my buddies is a really famous poker commentator,
Yeah.
and like he was actually, I don't know if you guys watched Survivor.
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, so he was actually, you know, the Survivor Champions.
No. I
So
don't.
so right now they're doing like the Survivor Champions battle, you know, where old survivors like coming back. And so a while ago, like a bunch of them played poker together on one of the poker shows that my friend hosts. And so he was actually, they showed a clip of him on Survivor,
Oh, nice.
which was pretty cool.
Oh, that's neat.
And yeah, so he's doing pretty well. He does well for himself.
Yeah.
And among other things that he does, great guy. And so I was talking to him, and like one of the things that he was like telling me like that why he's so successful is that he says yes to everything. And it reminds me of like, so my first video game project was called Last Man Standing. It was a modification for Doom 3, and
Nice.
it ended up winning. Have you played Doom 3 before?
I've played Doom
Yeah.
back in like, you know, way back when, like the early 90s.
So you understand.
I understand. I definitely get it.
So Doom 3 was actually a terrible game.
Yeah.
They changed from the Doom 1 and 2 style of like high action to suspense, which
Really?
Doom is not a suspense game.
I just remember just going through all them rooms, just, you know, the BFG and oh my God, it
and-
was so much fun.
That's how it's meant to be.
Shout out to 1992. What's up?
So what actually gave me the idea for this mod was there's a level, and I think it's Doom 2. It's called Suburbs, where you can it's like a big room, and you can go around and open up all these doors where monsters like flood out, and there's like a little building where you can like hole yourself up in.
Yeah.
And so I was playing it on my PlayStation. So this is like, you know, old school. And so I actually had so many monsters on the screen that when I stepped out in the window to like battle the monsters, it crashed the PlayStation, which I didn't think was possible. Like,
Are we talking the original PlayStation?
The original PlayStation.
Because I just want everybody to be clear. When he says PlayStation, he's not talking about PS4. He's talking about PlayStation.
Like the PlayStation. The old school.
We're going way back here. We're going deep.
I never thought it was possible to crash a console. So I stepped out into the window and I just saw like monsters like in front of me, and then all of a sudden it was just like numbers atop a black screen.
Yeah.
And I was like, maybe too many monsters. But so like that's what I wanted to bring back to Doom. And so my main philosophy with that was to start small, and it was really interesting. Like I think this is like hopefully this is interesting to everybody, but I think it's like a really important lesson because like when we first started out, there was a poll for because there's a lot of other Doom 3 mods. There's a poll for like what mods are you most interested in, and like so there was like hundreds and hundreds of votes for all these other mods. We had 5 people who voted for us, and
that's encouraging.
Yeah, and so
at least there's 5.
Well, exactly. And so I had my team, and I said to my team, I was like, you know what? Like, we're gonna make this like the most fun, like most awesome experience possible for these 5 people. Mm-hmm. And what ended up happening, since we focused on making sure that it was fun and like building it up from the bottom, and like like having a foundation, like building up, that like the majority of those like huge mods actually failed because they tried to do too much like from the get-go, and so they crashed and failed, and we ended up winning the award for actually I had to fly out to San Jose to get the award. We won the award for being the best Doom 3 mod of the year of in the world.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What year was that?
2007, I think.
2007.
Yeah.
People were still playing Doom in 2007, huh?
So it came out in.
I had no idea.
So Doom 3 came out in 2004.
Did it?
And that's the same year that Half-Life 2 came out.
No idea what you're saying right now.
Half-Life 2?
Nope, not familiar with that. What is that?
Just the sequel to Half-Life. Just a lot of people.
Well, I don't know what Half-Life 1 is, so we're gonna have to go way back.
A lot of people like it's a computer game, but like a lot of people like really like Half-Life. I was never really into it, but it was just it's like one of the Valve. Have you ever played anything on Steam?
No.
Okay.
So I have no idea what I'm talking about, do I?
No,
you're looking at me like you are just new topic.
It's completely fine. It's I mean, I've never been actually into them myself, but Steam is just like the like if you were to play video games online, it's like the main distributor of like digital video games.
Right.
So like if you were to like download your games on the computer instead of like going to a store and buying them on like a console.
Okay.
Like, so it's really like PC based.
Gotcha.
So like if you're really into like console gaming, then you probably wouldn't have encountered it. But like if you're PC gaming, then you probably would encounter it like all the time.
The only PC gaming that I've ever really done has been like Solitaire, Minesweeper, Pinball a couple times in the way back. That's about it.
I don't think those are on Steam.
See, they always exclude the classics.
I don't know why. They're missing out on an opportunity.
Oh, so Superhero Hill presents. That's and I noticed that's also your website too.
Exactly.
So people can go there. Is that where? Oh shoot! Sorry about that. Is that also where people can unlock content and stuff like that if they get to a certain spot?
Yeah, that's exactly where that's where I want to have all the resources, and I have lots of plans for it.
Yeah.
It's just getting all of it done and like focusing on like what's most important.
It's gotta be expensive, and you gotta have servers to house everything. And
so I have it as a part of my servers because I have about like 15 something websites. So that part isn't so difficult.
Yeah,
it's the main thing that I'm trying to figure out is like what are the best ways essentially that I can help people.
Right.
And like what is like the most useful for people? Like is it a game? Is it books? I thought about doing like a show that's like similar to Mr. Rogers, but like my light of make believe would be like a superhero created universe. Right. One thing that I have done is actually I've done some Twitch streaming where I would actually stream a Google document and I would have people tell me in the chat like what they wanted their superheroes to be, and or villains or random characters. Like one guy was like wanted to be a pirate shark, so I wrote him. And so
what?
A pirate shark.
A pirate shark.
Sorry.
Okay. I initially thought you said a party shark, and I was like, I don't know what kind of superhero that is, but I kind of want to.
Yeah. Well, that can be your superhero.
Party shark.
You can be the party shark.
Hey, I'm down.
And so what I would do is right on the stream is I would write the story of like I'd write a story about them as that character, and so they'd actually see me like typing it or like writing the story.
Wow.
So yeah, I thought it was pretty interesting. I got some fun stories out of that. But so yeah, it's just trying to figure out how to gear all of it.
Has there been any superheroes that you've had people come up with that you're just like, no, let's try something a little different. Let's not go that route.
I can't remember offhand because I'm sure I curbed it at the moment. But my favorite, I'll talk about the reverse of where my favorite creative idea was a guy named Switch, where he could actually switch other people's superpowers. So when there was like I had a story about with superheroes and supervillains like having a pool party battle, like a pool battle. And so he was a villain, and in the middle of the battle, he switched out their powers. So when they thought that they were activating like certain superpowers, instead what they were doing is summoning, or using somebody else's power, which was summoning cats. So they
summoning cats.
Yeah, summoning cats.
That's kind of a really cool superpower.
So yeah, that's what someone wanted to have their
Especially
superpower
if
be.
you're feeling depressed.
Cats.
If you're feeling depressed, summon about 80 cats.
Yeah, here's a cat.
There you go.
I would personally summon dogs, but
yeah,
because cats just like generally don't want anything to do with you.
That's true.
So,
That's
but
true.
but dogs, like, you can't get away from that. Like they want to be your best friend.
I'm kind of tainted on what cats. How cool cats are right now because we have this new kitten that we've had for a couple months now, and he's the coolest freaking. And he's hilarious. He's hilarious. He just runs around and does stupid stuff all day long, and it cracks me up. Just runs across the living room and pounces on a dog. Funny. I love it.
I like that. Like he just has no fear.
The dog's 120 pounds. He's like 4, and he's gonna jump at the dog. It cracks me up.
He really doesn't have any fear. He struts around like his shit doesn't stink.
Didn't he pounce at you today?
The other day.
Yeah.
The other day.
See, no fear. It's hilarious. If I could summon like 80 of that. No, actually, that'd be terrible.
Yeah,
that's a terrible idea. I'm good with the puppies. I'm with you. Let's do that.
Summon some dogs. Because they just want to be loved. Like, they just want your attention.
Absolutely.
The cats are kind of just like, they kind of just want to do their own thing.
They want to know what's in it for them.
Yeah, exactly.
You can pet me, but what's in it for me?
Exactly.
Because you better be giving one of those treats. Some of that catnip.
They have a little bit of, they're a little bit arrogant, a little bit of that air,
Yeah.
Queen cat or king cat.
You're not kidding.
Like, I'm the boss around here.
Yeah. Cats.
How you doing on that whiskey? Need something else? You good? Need a drink? I got soda. I got a little bit of everything.
I will try whatever you'd like me to try.
Whatever I'd like.
I wouldn't mind trying some of the monkey, actually.
Yeah. Hey, absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Monkey rum, baby. This is, no joke. I've been drinking this for a few years now, and this is the best spiced rum you'll ever have. I was a huge fan of Captain Morgan for a long time, and one day I went to the store and I grabbed the monkey, and I'm a changed man ever since.
The captain got fired.
Captain got fired. I drink the Captain in large settings. I only got a bar where they don't sell monkey rum, but otherwise it's monkey for me, man. It's so smooth.
He got relieved of his command.
Yes, yes. This stuff is so smooth. It's so good.
Thank you so much.
You'll love it. You'll love it. Cheers, man. Cheers. I'm loving this. This is a good time. I'm having fun.
I'm having a blast. if you guys ever want to do a podcast, this is an awesome podcast to do.
Well, thank you.
Highly recommend it. Have a good time. And I'm not even cold. Like, I don't even feel the cold anymore.
I don't. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that thing is pretty hot, and we've had a few of these whiskeys, so
I guess there's there's actually one place I just realized that has not been that is still affected by the cold, that has unfortunately not been influenced by all this wonderful whiskey and warmth and coffee, and that is my toes. Like the very
Right. That's
like
exactly.
the very tip of my toes are just like dead to the world. Like they will not be working for a while, but that's okay. It's worth the sacrifice.
It's
You
gotten
know,
past that like stinging, like pain.
they don't even hurt. I just don't feel anything. Like they're just like I just like they feel like a little cold, and beyond that, like no sensation.
So have you ever thought of like maybe getting into, doing some like school tours or stuff like that, where you get in and kind of do like a presentation or something about, your book, and just you got a whole school there, captive audience?
So that is actually the thing that I am most excited about,
Yeah.
because I still really want to teach, and that's why I've been trying to figure out like how I can properly leverage YouTube, and that's why I was thinking like a Mr. Rogers type show.
Yeah.
But actually, March 2nd and March 4th will be the first times that I actually do some school visits,
Right.
and I'm really excited to do more, because that
You
way,
doing that here locally?
yes,
Yeah.
yep, and I'm really excited about that, because that way I can teach, but not have to deal with like everything that goes along with teaching, so I can hopefully make the most positive impact I can with the kids, and not have to deal with like
Yeah.
everything that comes extra.
Now, do you have to like call schools up, or I mean, basically what I'm asking is there a way in the long term that like schools are calling you up, and this is like a paid gig where you go and this is how you make a living, is going around the country and touring with something like this book, and getting kids to further what's their superhero power?
So that would definitely be the ideal.
Yeah.
And I've been talking to a guy, pardon me, that I've been that he does these tours in like Spain and like all through Europe.
Yeah.
And he actually gets paid $600 a visit.
What?
And yeah. And if I could do something like that and like have that be my life, I mean that'd be ideal.
That's
And
the dream.
That'd be the dream.
Yeah.
And so getting into schools so far has been the tough part. I found that like emails like really haven't worked so well.
Yeah.
But games with word of mouth has helped a lot.
Yeah.
AKA Facebook, and Reddit has helped me get into some.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I need to like start calling the schools or whatever, but that's really the dream.
Yeah.
Where I can teach, but not have to, kind of like be stuck just like at one
Right.
school.
Well, I guess be all in the marketing, like put together some kind of a plan, where like a presentation where you can take it into the principal and say,
Absolutely.
"Hey, this is what's up,"
And one thing that I thought was really interesting too is this guy, even though he's an author, like he doesn't present himself as an author. He presents himself as motivational speaker.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so so I guess that's what helps him like get like higher rates too.
Right.
And he's like, I've never tried to sell like books at schools like ever. And I thought that was like really interesting.
Yeah. I mean, you could do
Like a
that.
different approach,
You
yeah.
could go in as a motivational speaker. I mean,
Yeah.
maybe hand out a page or something, to everybody that way there was an activity they could all participate in. But then, if they wanted more, they could get the book on the way out the door or something.
Absolutely. So one thing that it's taken me a long time to get set for whatever reason, but because I've been messing around with so many designs, but I want to print out bookmarks for the kids.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I could always do like business cards for people, but I think bookmarks are like so much more functional and interesting.
Absolutely. Well, and with it being a book, and that's really cool. Yeah.
It kind of works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tie it all in together. I mean, I'd make that your whole shtick would be revolved around this book,
And that's what I'd really like to do, like a like try to figure out like a Mr. Rogers like type show. Like I could never obviously like replicate him because like he's obviously like he's
That
a
dude-
legend and he's
That dude's a
genius.
legend. Absolutely.
And also like he's him, like he had his style, and my style is a little bit different, but I think he's like a fantastic inspiration.
Have you seen that movie that came out?
I really want to. I have not
I
yet.
haven't seen it yet either. I hear
We-
it's pretty awesome.
We've been wanting to.
It just
and
dropped at the
haven't.
Red Box the other day, so one of these days
Scoop it
I'll
up.
have to go grab it. But
There's so much fantastic content of Mr. Rogers and like how he fought for funding for his show too.
oh yeah,
Like his speech that he
the
gives.
speech in front of Congress
Yes.
was incredible.
Oh my
Epic.
goodness.
Yeah.
That was incredible. I was one of those things where I was like really surprised at the whole thing. He just sort of went in there and just kicked everybody's ass. It was great to see how he did that.
He was still that calm, soft-spoken, delivery, but
Yeah,
it was
like-
and it was crazy seeing it for the first time because I know Mr. Rogers is
Yeah,
Mr. Rogers,
but he was
not
really that guy.
Mr.
though.
Rogers talking to Congress.
But he was
That
really that guy, like all the time. Like he was Mr. Rogers. Like there was no
Yeah,
like
that was him. Yeah.
once the camera turns off, he
yeah.
lets his hair down and puts on his Motley Crue T-shirt. No, I mean he was that guy. Which is, I mean, it's amazing. He inspired a whole slew of people. My parents would actually not let me watch him.
Really interesting.
Yeah.
Why?
I don't know. They just didn't like him.
Huh.
Yep.
Man. But yeah, I had PBS, man. Mr. Rogers.
I think I mean, for whatever reason, I couldn't watch him, but I wouldn't let my kids watch Caillou. That's a terrible show. If you ever heard of it,
I've never heard of it.
well, don't go looking it up because it's god awful. It's an absolutely terrible show. So, but anyway, that's a different story. So, could you see doing this though? Like just traveling across the country, going school to school, doing that every single day.
I would absolutely love that.
Yeah.
And so this guy that I've been talking to that does all these presentations, like one thing that he mentioned, because his wife is a teacher,
Yeah.
and he said that like one thing that like bothers her a little bit is that like they're just having like this connection like with the kids like in this one instance, but then it's like off to the next school,
Right.
and so it's not like a continued like relationship or whatever. So that's why I would really love to have some kind of show or developed website so that if the parents want to like continue just beyond just that presentation that they can
Right.
that can be that I'm an available resource for them just beyond just that singular presentation,
Right.
because that's what it's all about to me.
Yeah.
I really want to make a difference and just like use what abilities I have to hopefully help other people.
Yeah.
That's what it comes down to. And I've seen like my personal interactions like work so many times and make such big differences. Like even if it was there was times
You've made a believer out of yourself. Even you believe in what you're doing, and that's admirable.
Well, because I've seen the effects. Like I've seen the positive results. Like there would be times when I was working in a school where like all I would do is like pass a kid like every day and say hi to them.
Yeah.
And I find out that like this is both sad and kind of awesome, but they would consider me their best friend.
Yeah.
And all that and I would just see them like once a day and just in passing like say hi to them. But I think it's like so fantastic that they knew that I was in their corner, that I cared about their success.
Yeah.
And I think like if I can convey that to as many people as possible, that I really do care about their success, and there's people that care about their success. I mean, even for me, like even just being here and you guys like caring about like my success and success on the show.
Yeah.
I mean that's huge, because I mean even coming out here, like I was afraid, I was nervous,
I told you. You don't got to be nervous. Trust me, when you get here, it's just laid back, it's chill, it's whatever.
We've talked about that though, like having people come to the porch.
Yeah.
That whether he's reaching out or whatever. And
Well, I had
contacting
a
people,
girl,
like,
Jess Mather, on a couple weeks ago,
Yeah.
And having a girl that I've reached out to that I don't know, that I've never met, reaching out and saying, "Hey, I'd love to interview you. Come to my house when it's late at night when it's dark and I live back in this neighborhood with no street lights. Yeah, just come on up, knock on the door, come on inside, and do a podcast." Like that, that's tough. That's a tough sell, So, yeah, I mean we're still learning a lot along the way, and that was definitely a lesson that we learned just a couple weeks ago.
Well, I had thought about it. I mean, just being a female, like.
Well, I hadn't. I mean, not a lot. I guess I hadn't really put a lot of thought into it, but I guess I should have, because when I invited her over, I was like, yeah. I guess Katie. I'm gonna need Katie to be here for this.
Well, it's tough too because I mean, being a guy,
Yeah.
you generally think one way,
Yeah.
and it's like you don't realize that the opposite gender could be thinking a completely different way, or just
Yeah.
in general, like I used to think that like pretty much like everyone thought like I did,
Yeah.
and I found that's not the
Yes.
case.
Yep, never the case.
You
Never
know?
the case.
Like there's so many different ways that like people can interpret like the same situation, like,
Yeah.
like depending on how they want to.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Depending on their experiences, I mean, that's gonna affect their that scenario for them. So
Well,
you just never know.
It's just like we were talking about earlier with the teacher who got in trouble for
Yeah, Mr.
using-
Cecil. We're still waiting to hear the outcome of that one, but yeah,
that's a really tough part of teaching too,
Yeah.
is that like you can just go into like what you think is going to be an ordinary day at work, and it just takes like a split second for something to be. It doesn't even necessarily need to be wrong, something that you necessarily
Right.
did like wrong, but just misinterpreted,
yep,
and it's like your career is gone.
yeah.
Like that's it.
It's like that Jenga game, like one false move, and the
Exactly.
whole damn thing comes tumbling down.
Exactly, it's scary, and
Yeah.
especially being a guy.
Yeah.
There's like a whole extra world, like being a teacher. That like there's like a whole like extra, set of things that you can get potentially in trouble for.
Yeah.
Just because something maybe got like misconstrued or whatever. And I mean, thankfully, I've never been in that position.
Yeah,
But like, like all it takes is like one small thing, and like that's it. That's another reason why I kind of wasn't like super excited about continuing teaching, because it's
Yeah.
just it's just scary, like you never know, like you have to be like on like 100% guard at all points, and it's sometimes like it can hit you at an angle that like maybe like you don't even realize.
yeah,
And so my dad always told me that like you always have to like present yourself in a way that like any kind of like situation that like might be negative just has to be like even like like for it to even be considered must be like ridiculous.
yeah.
So that's what I always tried to
To
do.
live by.
But still, like even then, like even the fact of like getting accused of whatever,
Yeah,
that can be game over.
yeah,
It's just like
100%.
it's just like walking the tightrope.
Once
like,
you've been
like
accused
every day.
of improprieties, you have that scarlet
Stigma,
letter
yeah.
attached to you.
Exactly.
And I mean, with the internet and all that stuff these days, I mean,
absolutely.
even if you're somebody who completely vindicated of anything, I mean, still that information is out there, and
Absolutely. You never
that's-
get rid of it.
That's what I was talking with Rob about earlier. Was I asked him. I said, "Well, how does that feel, knowing that, man, that's going to be forever there? Like somebody's going to Google your name, and that's forever going to be attached to it, And I was curious how that felt, I mean, I'm lucky. All I have is a bunch of band pictures and songs in this podcast attached to me, so I'm in good shape so far.
And it's like I think the sad thing too is like everything that you've like built up like to that moment like means nothing.
Yeah.
It's like, you know what I mean? Like just like one wrong word
Yeah.
in this instance.
In this day and age, with
it's-
I mean, everything is outrage and cancel
Absolutely.
culture and all that stuff.
Absolutely.
And I mean, everything can be torn down, and even not to get off on too much of a rant, but I mean the in the instance of like the Me Too movement and everything that we've been going through the last few years, there was a lot of people that were tied in and mixed up in that ended up being completely exonerated, or charges were overblown, or in some right, Chris Hardwick is one. He's a favorite of mine. I've been a fan of his since Singled Out days back in the mid '90s. He had charges, he had accusations thrown at him that were shown to be pretty much completely false, and I mean backed up by friends and family and ex-girlfriends and all that sort of stuff. But had they just decided for whatever reason not to say a word, his whole career, his whole life is over. And it's a crazy world we live in these days. You really got to walk a tightrope in a lot of cases.
Absolutely. And I think it's kind of unfortunate because then it also takes away from the ability to be completely honest, which I think is like incredibly important. And so that's kind of why I like being in the role that I am in now, and especially like so far things are working for me. If I can make things work, on a consistently, then I can be free to be as honest as I want. Yeah. And I think honesty is so important, and the ability to be honest, because like, I mean, just like we're talking about, like with the outrage, like so many people, like they just try to find like whatever they can to be outraged about. And 100%. And so, I mean, hopefully I don't get myself in trouble, but like that's kind of like what I saw like with like the Me Too movement. Like I think it's great that like women were coming forward
100%.
that were legitimately victimized.
Absolutely.
But then you have the people that were just trying to find reasons to be upset.
Yep.
And when you have,
I think there were some people that just came out and outright made false accusations just to get people in trouble because they could at the time.
Absolutely. And when you adopt a victim mentality, like, cause like there's different kind of mentalities. It's, like there's originally, like it started as like a like an awareness mentality of like, this is not okay mentality.
Yeah.
To people like jumping on the bandwagon to like adopting a victim mentality. Yeah. And like once you adopt a victim mentality, it's like anything that you do, like there's so many people that have, unfortunately, I think this is a massive epidemic really, where especially this day and age where people adopt this victim mentality. And once you adopt like a victim mentality, then whatever you do is like okay. Like it doesn't matter like how bad you are to other people. It's somehow okay because you were a victim, and like there's no accountability.
Yep.
And I think accountability is so huge, and that's
right.
The other reason for the book.
Yeah.
Because I mean, even for me, like all of us, like if we wanted to be victims, I don't really follow Dr. Phil, but there's like a few quotes that he's mentioned that I think are really good.
Hey,
and
Dr. Phil fan right over there. There you go,
yeah.
right there.
Oh, yeah.
She's a fan. Every day she looks at me with those eyes and says, "Sorry, but it's Dr. Phil time."
I got it on DVR.
Fine.
Awesome. I have nothing like really like for or against him. I've just never really had the time to like follow him. Mm-hmm. But like one thing that he said, like, cause he said some things that have always stuck with me. And one thing that he said that stuck with me is that everyone has a victim story.
Yeah.
And like, so, I mean, that's definitely true for me. I'm sure for all of us.
You know what?
If we wanted to be
100%, that is true for me.
I can look back on my past and go.
That is, and I could easily sit there all day long and go, oh, but this and that,
Exactly.
But I do believe at the end of the day,
it's a choice.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it is. You gotta move forward and quit letting stuff that happened in your past control what you're doing now and control your future. You just got to move past it. And now that's not to say that there's not a lot of shit that happens to a lot of people that isn't impossible to move past. I mean, I get that in a lot of those cases, especially, if we are talking about Me Too. I mean, a lot of stuff that happens to a lot of those women, I wouldn't wish that on anybody, and that's a lot of the reason that they're coming out and speaking against it,
But shoot, you get the book out there, and everybody learns those coping skills and those superhero skills.
Yeah.
At, 8 to 12, you could change the next generation.
Change the world, man. One book at a time.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's what it's all
Because
about.
that's going to give them, because later in life, maybe they're, something traumatic does happen to them, and they can reference back to when they were a superhero,
Yeah.
and giving them
They
confidence.
can use that to cope.
Like, yeah,
That's a good
that's
point.
really cool.
So that age range is actually incredibly important too, because like Eric Erickson is like a pretty well-known psychologist, and Mr. Rogers actually, I believe, I can't remember if he actually worked with him. I know there was like some kind of like relationship, because Mr. Rogers like worked with a psychologist, and I think she worked with Eric Erickson, some kind of dynamic, and so that 8 through 12 range is actually like a super, super important. I think he actually said that it was like the most, like possibly the most important like age range for. So each age range, I think he has. I think it's 7 stages, and I think that stage.
I'm trying to reference back to psychology at school, and I'm like, yeah,
So
sounds about right.
my brain is somewhat fried from working on a webpage and SEO all day, but that stage I believe was industry versus inferiority, where and so that's 8 through 12, and I'm pretty sure he labeled that as like the most important stage. So each stage has a different conflict that you need to try to resolve so you can move to the next stage properly. And so that was basically seeing how you can help the world, or if you feel inferior. So it's like, that's exactly on par with
Right, the book right
the
there.
book, right? Like seeing that, because so industry would be equated to what are really superpowers, like how can you help the world?
Yeah.
Like what do you add?
Where do people go to get your book? Can they walk into a bookstore? Or is it just an Amazon thing or the website, or where do people find it?
So right now I just have it on Amazon. If I want to get it in bookstores, I do need to get a new ISBN because it's the Amazon ISBN.
Yeah.
But I like having it. For me right now, it's easiest to have it on Amazon because
Absolutely.
my company is actually located in New York.
Right.
So if I started like selling it, like physical copies in Florida, I'd have to get a Florida business or like a foreign entity business.
Uncle Sam's got to get their cut, man.
Yeah, exactly.
You know how it goes.
It's a lot more legal work than if I can just have it in New York, because in New York too, like it's an LLC and I pay $5 every 2 years.
Yeah.
And like here, I'd have to pay like a few $100s every year.
How long have you been here from New York?
So I think I'm actually starting my 7th year.
7 years, huh?
Yeah.
Why Florida?
So so first of all, New York, where I lived in New York was fantastic. Like I loved the people. I loved the fact that I could, that I lived in a city, and so I could like walk to the library, walk to the movie theater, walk to my favorite, the best ever that I wish was here, and that was a taco buffet. For $7, a taco buffet, and yeah.
You just broke my heart, man. You just broke my heart. Somebody in Porchville start a taco buffet, please?
And it was like high quality like taco ingredients. Like this isn't like
that sounds so good.
Like as much as I've enjoyed Taco Bell in the past, it's not Taco Bell.
I can't even walk into a Taco Bell anymore without like vomiting. It's just,
Since I've been eating healthier, Taco Bell is not bad on my mind. It's just like
unless you need to cleanse the system,
I was just gonna say
go
that.
get a taco, you'll be all right.
Exactly.
Clear it right out.
Like whatever you eat is like ready to leave your body. Like by the time you're leaving the store, by the time you're leaving the facility.
Seriously.
Yeah. So it was like high quality stuff, but so I love it out there, but it's just too cold.
Yeah.
And just 9 months out of the year, I felt like I was just basically trapped inside, because we would have highs of 4 degrees. That would be like our highs of 4.
So you decided to come to the hottest place on like Earth.
So even Gainesville is slightly cold for me. So I had 2 options. So my best friend from middle school lives in Gainesville.
Yeah.
And my brother he lives in Orange County,
Okay.
California. And so it was either, kind of pay out the hindquarters to live in Orange County or Gainesville, where I could actually fly and see my
Right.
brother.
Yeah.
I could literally fly out there once a month and pay less rent than it would cost me to live out there for like a hole in the ground.
So it's like earthquakes or hurricanes too. You can choose either one.
Well, the great thing about Gainesville too is that like hurricanes like generally aren't too much of a factor because it's so inland.
Yeah. The only thing we have here is
Trees.
Trees. So recently, what is Gainesville? It was chosen as like the tree capital of the world or something stupid like
They
that.
call it City of Trees.
It's the city of trees that
like if you
fall
look at it
on
on
the
the
power
map.
lines during a hurricane
But if you
or
look at the
or
map,
a stiff breeze.
it's almost like Google Maps or Earth or whatever it is. And you look, and it's like literally Alachua County is like just a canopy
Yeah.
of trees.
Yeah.
It's just like
Covered. I love it. I mean, it's beautiful. Don't get me wrong, but man, when
Oh.
storms kick up, forget about it.
There are definitely more than one tree that are coming down.
Especially around here, it's crazy. It's insane.
Yeah.
The thing that really got me was the tree pollen, because like I didn't know, like I didn't realize that there was like so many like different allergens like coming down here.
Yeah.
Because like in New York there's like 3 kinds of trees,
Right.
right? And like in Florida, in Gainesville especially, there's like a gazillion, and so
Including the Florida maple.
I was like, why am I getting like sick down here? Like, why are my eyes like constantly on fire? Like, what's wrong with me?
It's terrible.
And like, it took me like the longest time to realize like what was going on. And then there was just one time I was like coming back from a run, and I walked under a tree, and I just like felt like my face just
Yeah.
like light on fire.
That's
and I was
it.
like, I think I have like allergies.
Many people have come through Gainesville not knowing they had allergies and leaving full of Zyrtec. I'll tell you that much, because I have a black truck and it looks yellow. And that's hard to do. That is hard to cover up black with yellow and for it to actually look yellow. And that thing, 2 months out of the year, I just let it ride. There's nothing I can do.
That's the Gainesville snow right there.
Oh, it's
you
terrible.
know, got your car and it's just green
It's
all over it.
terrible.
I actually have videos out there where people taking bricks and just like kind of throwing them up at the tree and then watching. All of a sudden you
Oh my
see
goodness.
all this stuff fall and it's like, what is that? And it's like, oh,
Dear
shit,
God.
that's the pollen.
I would never do that because I would die.
It's terrible. It really is. It really is. The whole porch here in Porchville turns completely yellow for a couple months out of the season, and we got to just. It's crazy. It's
Well,
terrible.
I thought I was losing my eyesight because like both my parents were basically blind at like 17 or 18, and they always told me that that's what was going to happen to me. And they got like the big glasses, like the thick lenses, and so I thought like it was just like my time, like
Right.
I finally hit it, like it's finally catching up to me.
There's a
And,
cure for that nowadays, that glaucoma,
Well, I went to the eye doctor and it's like, no, your eyes are fine. It's just like all the pollen, like garbage, like collecting in your eyeballs. I'm like, so like when I wear sunglasses, I have like perfect like 20/20 vision. But like if I don't wear them, then I like can't see with like 5 feet like away from me. I'm like totally blind to just like feel my way around.
That's Gainesville for you.
It's Gainesville for you.
So tell me, give me your website, superherohill.com.
Yes,
Is that right?
correct.
And people go to that website. What are they looking at when they pull that website up? Is there a link to the book? What are they looking at there?
So there is definitely a link to the book, and I'm really hoping to get out very soon. When I was working at One Room, I did computer science, and with the kids, I was working on software that was it's like Minecraft. It's actually a quote clone of Minecraft called Mindtest, but it's free and open source, and it's super easy to mod. And so the kids were actually helping me develop it. So I actually had a second grader who put in his own gator block. So he painted the block in like Windows Paint.
Nice.
And together, like we coded it in. Like I let him write the code. I showed him, where to go, of course.
Right.
And I basically had him do it. And so he was building just like he was like a Minecraft house, like out of a Gator block that he made. So I'm really hoping to get that like a version of that on there very soon for people to use, because I think there's so many learning applications, and I could actually like create Superhero Hill in 3D for people to like actually explore. And so my storybook, about Bob like dealing with math, like I want to actually like create his house, like create like his neighborhood, like create his school, and have that on there. I'm working with a bunch of musicians who are super interested in working with me, and about like doing like a book soundtrack, soundtracks to the game, getting their stuff on YouTube. So I want to get like their music on the site. I want to get like resources on the site, especially about how to be a superhero, like a general article. Basically anything that I can put on there to be useful. I really want to get going on like some kind of show, like whether it's just like the streaming, the Google document,
like a little webisode or something, just something to get up there that people can watch.
Absolutely, like just something that, so especially like when I do the school visits, that they can, go from just that presentation to like just like the next step, like some of the levels. So it's not just like like when I visit, just like in its own like little bubble, like that's just like the beginning versus like an end, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Absolutely, that's very cool, man.
Awesome.
Well, I'm excited about it, and like I said, I've got my book coming, so you're gonna have to come back. We're gonna do this again. You have to sit down with us, and we'll drink some more of this whiskey. And hell, you know what? You should come for the whiskey challenge.
I would absolutely love.
I'm thinking
all the
like,
above.
I'm thinking like a month out. We do another whiskey challenge. We do like 4 or 5 whiskeys. We sit down and drink them and talk about them. But it's a good time.
I would absolutely love any of that. And I just want to say for the record that I've absolutely loved every moment of being here. Like, this is absolutely fantastic.
Well, thank you very much. I'm glad that I'm glad you came. I really am. And get over there to superherohill.com. Michael Tomaino has been our guest tonight. You want to say anything to the good people of Porchville before we wrap this up?
Sure. I think the most important thing is just try to be, good to other people. And one thing that I didn't touch on that I think is like really important is like with the whole like saying hi thing, which I think like I resonate, like I mentioned that at least 4 times in the book. I believe it was 4 times. Yeah. And because I think it's like the most important component. Like I've talked to other people about that before, and like one thing that they're always like worried about is like if people don't say hi back to them.
Right.
And I said how, even if they don't say hi back to you, like that's not important because you don't know like what kind of effect you had on them. Like they might not have had anyone ever say hi to them before.
Yeah.
Right.
And so they might not even know how to react. And that maybe next time they see you that, they'll say hi. Like you don't know what kind of effect that you've had in your brain. And also like super important, and this is like a huge lesson that I've realized for myself, like especially like within the last year, is that the only person that you can control is yourself.
Yep.
Like what other people do, like good or bad, is completely on them. Like you have no power at all about what they do. So if they don't say hi back, that's on them. Like maybe they're having a bad day. Maybe they didn't want to say hi to you. That'd be like worst case. Okay, but that's still how they chose to react. Like the only thing you can do is control yourself and keep going forward, keep building yourself up. Just like we're talking about like with the podcast, like as me and some of my friends like to say, like putting in the reps. Like you got to just start small and build up. Like just like with saying the highs, it's not, you just worry about you and how you present yourself. And if people don't say hi back, whatever, like maybe the next person will, and
don't stop trying.
And that
exactly.
may change something for those people that even though they don't say hi that day.
Absolutely.
Maybe they go home and they go, you know what? Maybe I need to say hi to people on my own. Maybe I need to get out there and do what that person did.
Absolutely.
And maybe you make some changes in their life.
Well, if you have someone that maybe hasn't like felt like anyone has like cared about them in like a really, really long time, and which sadly is the case for so many people these days. Is lots of people.
Right.
It's like as our technology gets better, I actually think that more and more people get distance because, in my opinion, I feel like that since our technology is like getting better, that people feel like they can like do without other people, that they don't need them, and that people are like much quicker to be like dismissive of, you know what I mean? Like it's like, all right, so like you didn't do what I wanted to do, like so I'm not gonna be your friend anymore. Like I don't need you, and like because before like we had to depend on each other, to survive, and like now like people feel like they don't, but like we really do, and so like it's kind of like I feel like it's getting like kind of lost, like how much like we really actually do need each other, because like even though like maybe like with food gathering and like like going to our everyday job, like we don't need like people as much like to survive, in the completely like material aspect, like mentally like we need each other.
You need people. 100%.
We need each other, and so I think like with people that have thought that have been kind of distanced and like thought that like no one like really cares about them anymore, which sadly like is a huge deal, or even just like isolated. Like when people like say hi to them, it's just like a totally like they're not expecting it. Yeah. Like they don't know how to react in the moment. So just because they're not saying hi, it doesn't mean that they're like being any particular way. They just don't know how to react, and like it's like it's and they're still processing it, and so like I said, like and like you were saying too, like you never know what kind of effect you had on them. Like you could be like just totally like blowing their mind. Yep. And and with the people, I actually forgot to mention this part of the story with the 4-year-old. Like I was telling her too, is like like if you're walking, or I'm sorry, like if you're even just saying hi to someone and you're making their day, and and it makes their day, like they're going home to their family all happy, making their family happy, and it's like everyone else that they encounter, like they're making happy. I have that in there too. It's like it's just like such a huge like butterfly effect.
And that's good advice. It's just good advice. At the end of the day, it's just good advice. You get out there and you make some people smile. There's nothing wrong with it. So.
And it makes you happy.
I will encourage people, get over there, superherohill.com, go to amazon.com. How to Be a Superhero is the name of the book. I'm Nick, Katie,
Mike,
Michael, Tomaino. I got that part right.
You nailed it.
We're all here with you in Porchville. Get over to porchvillepod.com. And find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Go over, subscribe, and get out there and say hi to some people, man. At the end of the day, you might just turn somebody around. So, bye, everybody. Y'all have a good night.